1 second.
Yeah.
You're live.
We're live?
Yeah.
Okay. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the April 13th regular council meeting. We acknowledge that we are gathered on Treaty 5 territory, the traditional lands of our neighbors of Pascagoula Cree Nation, as well as many Cree, Dene, and Oji-Cree people, and it's the homeland to the Red River Métis. And we will call the meeting to order at 6 p.m. All councillors are in attendance. Councillor Manich is via Zoom and Mayor Murphy is also via Zoom. Looking for an adoption of the agenda.
We have moved by myself, second by Councillor Allen, resolved that the agenda be adopted as presented.
Call the question. Hearing none in favor.
Aye.
That is carried or against. So Councillor Manich and Mayor Murphy will assume that you're in favor unless you say that you're against or you're abstaining. How's that?
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, sounds good to me too.
Okay, perfect. Confirmation of the minutes, resolution.
Myself, second by Councillor Allen, resolved that the minutes of the regular council meeting of March 23rd, 2026, and the public hearing meeting of March 25th, 2026 be hereby approved. All statutory declarations have been complied with.
Call the question. Hearing none in favor.
I have to abstain because I wasn't here, so.
One abstained, so in favor. Everyone, so 6. Okay. Against, none. Carried. Okay, recognition period. Anybody have any recognition they'd like to share?
Easter Bunny came
Easter Bunny came.
a little while ago, but must have been good luck, Miss Meigs.
I have a couple
We
of things when it's time.
Sure. Yeah, you can go ahead now.
Oh, okay, so first off, I'd want to just recognize that, and we didn't do it formally, the announcement from the premier on the clinic. We didn't actually talk about that in a council meeting yet. We mentioned it at our public hearing and I think our special meeting that we had, but really appreciate that. I know that you know, it is an announcement, but the day before we didn't have an announcement, so it's progress and it's up to us now to sort of firm that up and not take our foot off the gas. I would also want to just recognize myself and Councillor Hopper and Deputy Mayor, and I'm not sure if anybody else was there, but Deputy Mayor Atkinson attended Amanda's celebration of life on Saturday. It was quite a touching event that had shared lots of great stories and all the good things that she has done, and she will truly be missed within our area and our region. She was a deep advocate for our communities, and like I said, she touched the lives of many people. So I just wanted to just share that we were at her service. The next thing I would just like to mention that the skating clubs got their year-end event I seen on Facebook over the weekend. It's coming up this weekend, so if anybody's around, I plan on going. I know everybody says I'm a hockey guy, but I'm going to try to get my butt down to watch some figure skating too. I'm sure there's lots of talented youth there. And I was at a dance club a while ago, so I'm maybe getting a little bit of a mixed bag now. And the last thing I would just want to mention is, you know, there's always, when something's going wrong, the first people we start blaming is, well, they usually blame council first, but then maybe they come to our staff. But, you know, I want to take my hat off to staff for all the work that they are doing. People don't see all the extra hours they're putting in on the weekends right now to try to get sewers cleaned up, you know, sewers unthawed. I know they responded to emergency on the weekend, and I guess I just want to say thanks for all their work. I'm sure I echo this from all of council that we do really appreciate them, and like I said, they don't really see people don't really see all the things they do up front.
Agreed, thank you. And to kind of piggyback off of that as well, Bonnie Hatch and Arctic Beverages have both did shout outs for thank yous to, following up when both of them were in dire situations, and they're very appreciative of the service that they received. What else did we have? TPCRC, the Pod Community Renewal Corporation, they also have free swims that they're offering out. I believe they have 100 of them. So if people are looking to go to office sizes, what else is it? Like kiddie swims, those kind of things, they can be picked up at their office, and I believe their office is now over next door to Snackland. Any other?
You see, you wanted to mention the fireman's pool?
Sure, and the Fireman's Ball that took place also on Saturday night. That was, very, very well attended. It was held in the Rendezvous Room at the Wascana. There were multiple awards that were handed out. Firefighter Karen Gallagher is the firefighter of the year. Congratulations to her. There were some fun awards that were handed out in jest that had the room giggling, and we'll save those for the people who were there. And I did not stay for the social part. I was home by 9 o'clock. So it was a great meal, and it was fun.
I'd also like to just piggyback off of your piggyback with the mayor there about our staff, and they definitely had a rough last week or so with issues around frozen lines and all that sort of stuff. I did have a few people reaching out to me as well about that, and seen a few comments online that were not necessarily the nicest towards our staff. I did take the time to reach out to Sam. I'm sure he's really happy to answer my call on Saturday. And he very politely took quite a bit of time to explain to me the whole process behind it, which I did pass on to a couple of people. I hope we can maybe make a post about it just to pass that along for a little bit broader spectrum so people can see that. But there is a process behind the whole situation. So if you are having a frozen line, if you have some sort of an issue, it's not that they're not jumping to the pump to get it to, they're doing what they have to do first. So they're definitely not neglecting you. And if you do call the line, the after hours line, and nobody answers, leave a message. It will be returned promptly, I'm told. So please leave that message. The other thing I wanted to mention is that on Thursday at 6:30, the Tri-Community Pride is having their general meeting. I'm hoping to attend. If they do cancel meeting, and also have to attend that night, so I'm not sure, but I hope there's a big turnout for that, as they're going to be getting their activities going pretty soon for Pride Parade and other events. So I hope to see a lot of people out there. It'll be, whatever that office is besides Snackland.
TPCRC. Yep.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? All right then. Recognition period is now closed, and we'll move on to citizens period, and we do not have anybody in our nice comfy chair, so we're going to move on to our departmental resolutions. Val Turner resolution 9.1.1.
Resolution number 2026-061, moved by myself, second by Councillor Hopper. Resolved that council approve the purchase of the valve turner and accessories from Walks Canada Limited in the amount of $16,781.10 plus tax and shipping.
Call the question.
We just think it's a good idea. Notice two of our employees earning, I thought I was gonna stop and give them a hard time going merry-go-round, but two of them.
Like around Rosie.
Lots of force right by the Legion there, turning it off. I think they were turning it off, but it was well worth, good investment, support this 100%.
How long does it take to get here? Excuse me.
We'll have to see what the availability is showing.
Okay. No other questions, comments? Hearing none, in favor? Against? None, it is carried. Water taxes, 9.3.1.
Resolution number 2026-062, moved by myself, second by Councillor Hopper. Whereas in accordance with section 2522 of the Municipal Act, town is permitted to transfer outstanding water property taxes. And whereas notices will be sent out on April 24th, 2026 to tenants and property owners advising that their outstanding water accounts will be added to their property taxes unless paid by May 31st of 2026. Therefore, be it resolved that council authorize the outstanding water accounts be transferred to property taxes as set out in Schedule A in the amount of $494,669.02 in accordance with section 25(2) of the Municipal Act.
Thank you. Do we have last year's number?
This year's, what was transferred last year's?
Do we know what was transferred?
No. We didn't, okay, yes, that's a good question. Last year, that was administrative, we didn't do it last year. So that was, that, if you see the number there is almost
Yes.
500,000.
Yes,
But the last time we transferred was 2024. So that was an error from administration.
okay, because I was thinking that this number was double the amount
Yes.
from last time.
Correct. I asked the missed it was missed.
Okay, Councillor Hopper?
Just a question, we've got the listing here of the amounts. And I don't know why we would let somebody get in arrears of $21,000 or $8,000 or $9,000. I'm wondering why, why aren't services just terminated? You don't pay your bill. Some of these could be rental properties. And that's a normal practice. The renter takes off, it gets applied to the property owner where your hydro leak chases people down. So I don't know, say if this is all rental, half rentals, but my question, bottom line question is, why are we allowing individuals, companies or whatever? There's one here for $27,000. Why are we allowing them to get that high and have $500,000 outstanding on our receivables? Turn the water off. Maybe they would have paid, we wouldn't be carrying this amount over. This seems a little excessive.
Do you mind if I comment on this, Paula?
Well, there you are.
Oh, hi, Laura.
Wonder where you were.
Go ahead.
Currently our bylaw doesn't allow for us to do this. It's been something that we've had conversations about how we changed the bylaw in order to allow us to do water shut off without going against any other law that would, I think the conversation was surrounding a law that might, be against welfare. So we have to dig into this a little bit more.
Pardon me?
We have to dig into this a little bit more.
Yeah, like this goes on every year, I understand that, but,
Yep.
It's a service we offer. And if you don't pay for the service, you shouldn't get the service. And if there's if we're contravening, some humanity type of law of some sort, I'd like to see that. I'd like to see somebody challenge it. I think we have to address that, and it must be something in our bylaw with our water about, you pay every 3 months, for here's what you're getting, and, like anything else, if you don't pay, we should be shutting it off. I don't agree with having, if they didn't pay before, now some of them are gonna be looking at it, one in particular, $27,000. I don't know. Anyway, just my comments, if you're looking into it further, it's good.
Councillor Forster, Councillor Commodore, do you have comments?
I did noticing, so, to agree, like
Looking at the listing.
$27,000, $21,000 worth of water and you still have service and that's just not right.
Call the question?
And I just want, yep, sorry, I just wanted to add,
Oh, go ahead.
I'm glad Councillor Hopper brought it up because that was going to be my question. I like to hear that Laura is going to pursue that and see if we can legally just not have that. Because imagine having a $21,000 bill added to your taxes. We're set up to failure. So I would definitely support exploring those ideas and amending our bylaw as necessary.
I have one question as well. As everybody was talking, I started thinking about that. Is that straight water, or would there be some sort of repairs that were taking place that are included in that money, or is that just straight water bills?
That's straight water
Or-
bills, Andre.
Oh, really? Okay, thanks.
Okay,
Can we put this under unfinished business then? I mean, we're obviously going along with what the recommendation is, but
Yeah.
we put that on unfinished business so we don't lose track of it.
okay.
So, and one question I had, maybe Laura can answer this, but if we put this on their taxes and then they don't pay their taxes and it was a tax sale, is this gonna be included in a tax sale? Like,
Yeah.
because I thought there was a restriction on what we could put on to the tax bill and actually get a collection for it at tax sale time.
There is restrictions, but water is not one of the things that is restricted.
Okay. So the reserve bid would include the water essentially.
Correct. It always does include the outstanding water.
Okay.
All right, call the question. We've used them all up. In favor? Against? Hearing none, it's carried. NG 911 Authority Agreement.
Thank you, Ms. Nandri.
Oh, pardon me, 9.32, Rink Seal Pro.
Resolution number 2026-063, moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Forster. Resolved that council approved the purchase and installation of a rake seal probe in amount of $35,724.64 plus tax and fee.
Anybody have any questions? Okay, we might need to get Sam to come back into the room.
This is just something we talked about last time, about
Okay,
adding this to the piping system. It does eventually, you can't keep doing it. Eventually, it's gonna cut down the efficiency of the brine going through it. The diameter inside is gonna get smaller as this coats everything. What I mentioned last time, and this may be put under unfinished business as well, comprehensive plan of down the road, what are we gonna do? We can't keep using a patch. Eventually, we're going to have to probably replace the system, and that would be a huge cost, removing the floor and all of that. But it just, if we had that on the unfinished business where I know Sam mentioned that before, maybe he's gonna mention it again tonight.
Sorry, I caught some of it. So part of the feasibility, we're doing a feasibility study as part of the GRO project for the rec hub upgrade, to look at these sorts of questions.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Or should we still include this?
We're gonna have to.
Yeah, where it's on our bill to.
any other comments? Call the question. Done. Okay, so in favor? Against? Carried. Now it's the NG 911 Authority Agreement.
I brought this up like about 2 meetings ago.
Yes.
And this is required. If we don't do it, they will sign us in. And it's about now, basically what they are doing, they are changing things for the service provider in Brandon. But everybody under that, using their services, they have to sign this. So that's the process.
Right, we understand that. Also, I think the reason we tabled it last time was because there was messaging that came out from AMM. And they were saying that they were going to be working on this, so I have not seen an update from them. but that doesn't mean there hasn't been an update from them. I understand that everybody is to sign this, but there
We
was a
can-
recommendation. Go ahead, Mayor Murphy.
No, I was gonna say, we can add that to our agenda next week when we're in Brandon. But I don't think, I don't think we really have a choice whether we're gonna sign it or not. And if there's an issue with it, AMM will actually help us and all the other municipalities that signed it, so I think we'll just sign it and figure it out.
Move forward. Okay.
I haven't compared or anything. Is there any change to the fees that were being charged? Moving on with that.
What's the resolution?
From my memory, I don't believe so,
I'm waiting for people.
or
to stop
Councillor
off.
Allen.
Okay. No, we can't. I'm just curious if that's any significant impact.
Okay, so let's have the resolution read, please.
Resolution number 2026-064, moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Forrester. Resolved that council approve mayor and CAO to sign NG 911 agreement on behalf of the town of the Fall.
In favor? Against? None, it's carried. 9.3.3 payroll and account.
Resolution number 2026-065, moved by myself, seconded by Councilor Commodore. Be resolved, the council authorize the following accounts. Pay period number 07 in the amount of $135,651.36. General checks number 33255 to 33295 in the amounts of $157,748.28. EFTs in the amount of $388,148.35.
Call a question? Councillor Hopper?
Well, don't get into too deep into the weeds on this. Our policy for paying invoices. And this was one individual company on here that noticed that his checks in there. We're paying invoices from January of 2025. And I'm just wondering, I have full trust in the company, but it was mentioned, I think Laura talked to them last year about getting their invoices in on time. Like when we do a year end, we have no idea, or at least I don't think we do, of what invoices are outstanding, unless each time this person does a service, do we actually have some town employee sign an invoice on that date? Do we have that to go into payables? If we had that, then it could be paid right monthly. But if we're waiting for them to hand in 18 months of, or 15 months of invoices, how do you know they're all accurate? Maybe the company missed some, or maybe went the other way.
Yeah, so we, the controller had a good chat with me about this and with the supplier or the vendor in question. I guess there's been some sort of back injury that was part of the issue that they were sort of out of commission and pressed to get these all time, like to, as we're running year end, so we'll have the balance of it at the end of the month. And we've sort of explained to the vendor that from the council perspective and also from the bit accounting perspective, if there's no improvement on this, then we have to perhaps seek a different vendor for service. So,
I'm thinking maybe it can't go like that, I don't know why it wouldn't, but they do a service, get an invoice book, here's a service. One of them, because it's usually there's somebody there, town employee.
it depends on
Where,
where they're working.
but at least the next day, drop it off here and then they get their money every 30 days and we don't get a big surprise. Anyway, just.
Yeah, no, it's definitely, trust me, the controller probably right now is gonna be good talking to you tomorrow once it is.
Okay, let's. next.
I had one question, but I can't find it now, but just a general comment, and it maybe doesn't need follow-up today, but I see our Visa invoices, there's a lot of charges on there. There was one charge that was quite high. And maybe we could sort of get an idea at our next meeting or the next time we go, like what's sort of used, what's the visas used for? Because there was, like I said, it was like $9,000 worth of charges and just so that there's some visibility to that for council.
Do you remember the vendor?
Mr. Mayor, you said the visa, I'm sorry.
Oh, Visa.
Yeah, I'm talking about the visa,
Oh,
like
sorry.
there was something called SIP or something. I don't know what it was now. I can't find it. But anyways, it's not, I don't need the answers tonight. I'm just saying that, I trust what's going on, but if going forward, maybe we should just get a little bit more details when we have $9,000 sort of visa bill sort of thing, just so we have a general idea what the visa is used for.
A host of things like it, and from a host of departments too. We only have several town visas that have limits that are necessary. So I know that the town visa that's under my name gets utilized by multiple departments, so. Unfortunately, I couldn't tell you exactly what.
Yeah, I guess what I'm seeing here, Sam, is like arena staff training supplies, $1,278. CIP general, $2,300. Like, I don't know what, I don't know what that is, but I'm not saying that it's not legit. It's just that if we should just bring a little bit more clarity to it, because when we look at other invoices that we see the backup, and that's all.
Yeah, for sure. I think that would be a capital item. I will confirm that with our controller, but I think the CIP would be a capital. And it might have been for the column area when we do this.
And thousands of Olympics.
Yeah, but you're correct that there should be more backup for those regardless, yeah.
There are some additional, like if you go to the check registry, there are some details there, but if there's something specific, we'll get back to.
Yeah, CIP is capital.
Thank you.
That particular charge I know had to do with display cases over at the museum.
There's one other
Thanks,
small
Laura.
question. Someone else want?
No, go ahead.
Laura, there was 3 debits and 3 credits, and it wasn't a big dollar amount, $150 or something for Ed's art shop. There was like 3, looked like it neutralized. Was that somebody paid in error, or what was this? You remember off the top of your head?
I'm sorry, who was it for?
Pardon me?
I'm sorry, who was it for?
Looks like Ed's, writing Ed's art shop.
And that was on the visa?
No. That was regular check. But they were neutralized, so there wasn't a check. It was on the registrar was 3 entries of those, that amount, and of debits, and then 3 entries of credits.
I'm just
I'm
looking for it
assuming
here.
was just something maybe paid in error, or. The only reason I'm asking is this, previously we had made a payment to an invoice that wasn't our invoice. I'm just wondering if that was similar, or what we did. And
It could be for that, or it could also be for an amount that we're expecting back as a refund. I know we're expecting a refund back from one particular vendor, so I'm just trying to find it here.
it's the comment on it is dispute.
Oh yeah, that's a transaction that's being disputed on our visa. So there was Canada Day supplies that were purchased by the museum director, and they never showed up. So currently that transaction is being disputed by our MasterCard company.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
You're welcome.
We're done with our questions? There's a lot this week. Okay, in favor? Against? Hearing none, we are carried. And it's great that we're asking those questions because that's part of our job. That's part of the governance role. So then we are on to 9.4 Town of Claw Primary Healthcare Clinic Resolution. Mayor Murphy, would you like to speak to your issue sheet? Oh, we can't
I
hear
want to
you.
read the resolution first. I can speak first to it though.
Okay, sure. Or it's over there.
Excuse me. I'm not reading the letter. You can read the letter, please. Resolution number 2026-066, moved by myself, second by Councillor Hopper. Resolved the council approved forwarding a letter dated April 9th, 2026 to the Premier of Manitoba recommending that the PAW Clinic be named in honor of the late Amanda Laughlin's contributions.
Yeah, so just some background on that, as I discussed, or we sort of had a quick chat at the end of one of our special meetings. I think this is this letter has a couple of items in it. First, that thanks the provincial government for their commitment on the announcement. Although I know it's very clear that 2030 is too far in advance, but it does put that there. It also talks about if we're really serious, let's put up the sign that says the future clinic. So people that may not watch council meetings or read newspapers or follow Facebook will see when they drive down there that there's plans for that in the future. And the final thing is really to, as a recommendation, again, this is the provincial government's likely call on it anyways, but as our recommendation that in some way be Amanda Laughlin, our late MLA, be recognized for her advocacy around healthcare within not only the PAW, but within this area and region, as she has did some significant sort of work around that. So this is just a letter coming from council and why I would like it to be a resolution, just so it shows that it's run through our council table.
Does anybody have any questions? Councillor Allen?
I don't have too much questions, just a comment. First off, I'd like to say thank you to the mayor for putting this letter together. It's good to see. I won't be in support of the resolution just because, and I do not have anything whatsoever against Amanda Laughlin having anything named after her. She was a great advocate for the area. She did have a lot of contributions. I just have a bit of a hesitation to jump immediately to naming or recommending to name a building after anybody without some sort of community consultation when it is a community building. And I understand that maybe at the very end of the day, you're right, Mr. Mayor, that you might need a province that has that say and we don't, so that it could all be mute, but there's a lot of individuals in our community that are worthy of being recognized. And I think just to put one name forward without considering other options is probably not best representative of the community.
Councillor Hopper?
Well, I support the resolution and concur with Councillor Allen's comments as the mayor's. I guess two things. We've been promised a clinic previously and change of government, we lost it. So I think the idea of bringing this to the forefront and through the resolution to council, keep their feet to the fire. And as you mentioned, your worship, on Saturday, you were pushing for 2030 is too late, but like it sooner now. So I think we have to keep the pressure on that. To Councillor Allen's comments, I think very true. And also that'll be up to the province, but there might be other areas in the clinic, certain areas that can be designated to other former physicians in town or health providers that are no longer with us, or some that are still active. So there's opportunity to have other community members recognized within the building, and it'll be up to the province what they decide to call it.
Thank you. Even though it will be a building that is used by the community, it is not a community building, just to be clear. In the 8 years that I've been part of that project, there was never a time that it was going to be anything. There was no name that was ever behind. It was just like the paw clinic. I think that, honoring Amanda and the legacy that she has set with us, that this is the least that we can do as a recommendation to honor her. Call the
I
question?
just have one other comment. I would disagree. It is a community building.
Well, it's used by the community, but it's not necessarily a community building.
Since I was the one that mentioned community building, I just want to clarify that what I meant by community building is a building that is a fundamental part of our community. Many of the buildings that are community buildings today may not have been, such as, for example, the museum, when it was a courthouse, it really wasn't a community building, but it is today. And obviously, whatever we're building here has the potential to have that kind of a legacy. So in that sense, I view it as a community building. I do accept definitely what Deputy Mayor Atkinson is saying, but just as a focal point of the community is what I mean.
Thanks. Any other comments?
I have one. I agree with the committee, the fall clinic, was fall clinic before, and no disrespect, but, I think we have a number of people that have been pillars of our community, and going off with Councillor Hopper was said, there's different sections of that clinic that could be named after, but I think it should be stated. And I would agree that it should stay the fall clinic.
Councillor Forster, any comments?
No, I agree with most Councilor Hopper, Margaret, and Councilor Fowler, sorry. I think we should wait and name it after, instead of putting a sign up, naming it now. There is a lot of people that should have the right to at least be thought of for a name if that's what we're gonna do. So if there's other ways of honoring them throughout the interior of the building, that would be a better way to do it, I think. That would give honor to all of them. There's doctors that have been put their life and family in the bog in order to look after patients here. They should be thought of as well. So, yeah, I don't think we should move forward with it at this time.
Just for my final, I fully support this. At the end of the day, province will name the building,
100%.
and this is a good recommendation going forward. So I would support it.
Councillor Manich, do you have any comments?
Really, I support everything that's been said by everybody. It's one of those issues that, of course, we want to honor important pillars of our community. But I have absolutely nothing against and nothing but support for Mayor Murphy's resolution forward and issue sheet. We're going to change government 4 times before we see a clinic, so we can talk
Hopefully
about it
not.
forever. Hopefully not. We can all be hopeful, but it's been 27 years now. Let's just hope we do get something, and we'll worry about a name later. Let's get the services our community needs first.
No,
But I do
absolutely.
support the resolution.
I think that
Request a recorded vote.
request granted. Okay, so in case online did not hear, Councillor Hopper has requested a recorded vote. Councillor Forster,
Quarter in what way, like how, what do we?
your vote being for or against is being recorded. That your physical name is going to go behind that you vote in favor or against the resolution.
So I just want to summarize what we're asking for here, so it's not confusing. We're not naming the clinic. This is a recommendation
It's a recommendation.
to the government that we would request that they look at that. It might be the clinic, it might be a room, it might be a ward. I don't know what it is, but it's really for us to say, hey guys, thank you very much for the announcement. We appreciate it. We also recognize the hard work that our late MLA Amanda Laughlin does. So please keep her name in mind when we start digging. And also let's put up a sign so that we can let community members know that there is something going in that area instead of having a blank parking lot. So just to clarify what the letter says, if anybody hasn't read it. And I'm in
Counselor
favor.
Forster,
Chair calling the question.
for or against?
What do you explain it on for? Thank you, Andre.
Sorry, I'm almost writing everything down. Okay, Counselor Commodore, or Counselor Manage,
Or
Counselor Hopper,
Or
Counselor Allen,
against.
Mayor Murphy,
For.
and Deputy Mayor Atkinson is in favor as well. And it's carried to send the letter on to the Premier. Okay, I hope you guys can read my writing. Okay. Report to committees and boards. Museum board.
Okay, I was away. We had a meeting just before we left and before we left and we just, there wasn't too much because we just had quorum, so we just kind of accepted, the bank balance and nothing out of the ordinary. And our next meeting is tomorrow night, so we should be able to get a little bit more and there'll be more people there to get things going some more.
Chamber of Commerce, I'm assuming you were away, Counselor
I was
Maddox?
away. Yes, I was away. The meeting had changed from April 1st to the 8th, which put me away. However, Mayor Murphy did attend, and maybe he can provide a little bit of a report just so we're not in the
Yeah.
dark for it.
Yeah, I know for sure. Thanks, Counselor. Unfortunately, I didn't bring my notes with me, so I'm in a hotel here. I think what Counselor Manage mentioned in the past, there's a lot of work being done right now on the trade show, getting geared up for that. So that seems to be coming quick. Heavy recruitment on members and value to membership. A discussion with around the relocation of the CEO for the healthcare was talked about. Talked about this after dark, members after dark, and Councilor Manage may have a little bit more details, but off the top of my head is where chamber members could come and our members can meet and do some sharing and networking, which sounds like a great idea. I know you want to add something to that, Councilor?
I was just going to add, just because you kind of opened the door for it. We used to do the lunch and learns. They were a great idea. I don't think they took off as well as they could. So this is a new attempt at the same idea, getting out and networking with the business group and just having a different time,
Yeah.
different session. Lunchtimes are busy, so we're going to try something called
Yeah,
after
no,
hours.
it sounds like a great idea. It looks like some good value there. Then I also shared, I just shared some of the things that were happening within the community. Talked about our special service levy. We're waiting for a response on that. Talked about the zoning of Devon Park. Just clarified what's really happening there. And some of the work that's still needed to be done with regards to moving that forward. Talked a little bit about the budget, sort of just the good work that the staff has done so far, administration's done, and sort of where we're sort of close to neutral, but not really quoting numbers and stuff yet, and just explained how it could get neutral by the fact that we've had some debentures and even though costs are going up, and the good work that our staff are doing, doing things better and less expensive. So I talked a little bit about that, and then I just gave a general update on the recycling center, just sort of where that's at, more or less, around the recruitment and stuff. And we can talk a little bit about that during the recruitment. But no, it was a good meeting. Was appreciated being invited. Look forward to Councilor Manage going next time.
Thank you. CDC.
I'm bringing you as a dignified guest next time again.
As Jonathan isn't here, Mayor Murphy, do you have anything to report on the CDC? Oh, you know what, that's Councillor Hopper, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Councillor Hopper can.
Yeah,
Just an update, excuse me, still finalizing the regional immigration initiatives with the province. Finalizing the development agreement for Northern Lights Seniors Housing Co-op, that's ongoing. Still, discussions with, individuals that may be interested in doing some projects on the riverfront. Uptown Mall, if you notice, there's been some happenings in, Ace Hardware, so I'm assuming, they're getting close to opening. Everybody's pretty happy about that. We're also looking, for retail spaces and, a hair salon in the Uptown Mall, where the lady there is retiring. And, ongoing discussions about the availability of retail spaces on Fisher Avenue. West Canyon is, looking at business improvements and employment opportunities. Talking to Jonathan about that. Storefront Improver Program is updating the program for 2026. Something else I was going to mention on that. Anyway, that's the gist of it, kind of an update.
Just one couple things to add there, Councillor Hopper. I think we still have to follow up with that developer out of Regina. We're still waiting we should probably close the loop on that because of the request that was made forward. The planning wouldn't fit ours, but we shouldn't just, we need to either decide not to proceed or not. And then the other thing I would say, and I know, is Sam in the room?
Not right now.
Okay, well, we had
Okay.
we had a meeting last week with a potential developer. And so Sam and Jonathan were gonna follow up with him sort of on some sort of, I know it's really early days, but maybe a manufacturing facility coming into our area.
Sorry for
That at that meeting we had last week there, Sam, with that fellow.
Oh, regarding the lighting,
Yeah,
get some good insight in terms of, cost savings. They've come up at no cost to have a look at your facilities to see if there's a efficiency management opportunity for upgrading your lights to the newest style of LEDs. We had an assessment done 7-8 years ago, I believe now. So he believes that we would still potentially qualify for seeing some lighting upgrade, and believes we could see probably a savings of at least 25% or more, and the payback would be within 3 years on energy savings. And with hydro prices going the way they're going,
yeah.
it's probably a really good idea to kind of delve into it. So.
And I guess, Sam, I mean, it's so high level right now too, but while he comes for that visit, maybe a potential looking at sites if there's a plan to expand his operation into northern Manitoba.
Yeah, I made some interesting statements about potentially some sort of warehousing facility or distribution facility from here. So we are all ears and open for anything that he can bring forward.
good, thank you. Destination marketing.
Meeting this Wednesday. We're looking at 3 grant applications. We'll have news after that.
When is the intake closed, or is it closed right now? It's closed? Okay. See it early. We need the 2 last work days of the month. And Vision Quest registration is open. It's in June this year, which hopefully is going to be a little bit more accommodating to people than it was before. But I don't think it's going to affect anything because it's been sold out every single year. So if anybody's interested in going to Vision Quest, it's June this year. And the recycling board. Mayor Murphy, do we want to speak to?
Sure, yeah, no, we can give an update. There's been a lot of work going on behind the scenes. We have a potential candidate, so we had a couple of candidates. I think that the hiring committee is actually working on that right now. And I know Sam has also been providing, Sam and Tanvir have also been providing some support. The group's working on a onboarding plan right now. They'll have that ready. And so as soon as we can kind of get everything in line, we'll bring it back on board, bigger, better, and stronger than ever.
Thank you. And Young Bird presented to us last week as well, our audit. So there seems to be a really good crew that's meeting regularly with the recycling board, and we seem to all be on track. Okay.
Hopefully, there will be a meeting on Thursday. That is the plan. So fingers crossed we have one.
Okay, and Kelsey School Division, there's nothing to report. And our youth counselor. Best for last.
We'd like to first congratulate our Skills Manitoba competitors. We earned 2 silver provincial medals and 1 gold medal with a spot on Team Manitoba and representation in nationals in Toronto in May. We also had three basketball grad all-stars who get to play in the AA provincial tournament in Winnipeg. I believe that's this weekend. And we would also like to wish good luck to our badminton team as they head off to Swan River tomorrow morning. The Pop Music and Fine Arts Festival also begins next week, and we'd like to wish good luck to all of our bands participating. And our midterm report cards came out today, with parent-teacher being Wednesday and Thursday this week, and no school on Friday.
Thank you.
Old school again.
Okay, so then that is all of those committees. So Mayor Murphy, do you have any other meetings you would like to speak to that you've attended?
Yeah, no, I'll just mention, just as another update, we did attend that Huddle meeting. It's if you want to look at what it's all about, it's called Huddle Manitoba. It's really a youth support program for teens, or not teens, it's like I think up to 29 years old. But it's really, it brings mental health and supports together where people, our youth need it. It's running quite well in other communities. They're looking to establish one in the PAW. Some of that stuff, the PAW area, and it's fully funded, so it's a good thing. And it sort of almost works like the when you listen to it, it almost sort of works like the interagency group that we were trying to get rolling, where they bring agencies together. They have full-time staff though that sort of make sure that everybody's connected. So I think it's good. And then the only other thing I just wanted to bring up is I'm doing it under my update is community cleanup events. So I'm going to be organizing a meeting for the May 4th week. I was going to ask tonight if Sam or not Sam, through BOLA or whoever, we could start thinking about what that looks like for the landfill. Are we going to do when are we going to provide sort of free access, picking up yard waste, whatever it happens to be. So if we can start thinking about that, but the community cleanup event will be, I'll once I talk to the other partners, I'll let you guys know probably, but so hopefully we can get out and do some walking around and have a little bit of fun, and that's it.
Thank you. So I also attended a forestry task force meeting. And what that consisted of was the Government of Canada first announced the creation of the Canadian Forest Sector Transformation Task Force back in November 2025. And it was part of a new measure to support and transform Canada's forest sector. Needless to say, it was a really, really interesting meeting. I have tagged Mayor Murphy back into his spot onto that committee rather than me. If anybody has any questions about it, I don't have an awful lot of answers, but what the committee was trying to do is after it was put together, the next 90 days, the task force was going to engage with industry, provinces and territories, indigenous groups, labor organizations to gather public's comment through a web portal to be launched in X amount of days. And it was interesting. It was quite interesting. And Huddle, yes, Mayor Murphy, you were 100% correct on what Huddle was. Huddle was like creating a community space where you can feel free to seek help without judgment from the people around their communities. And it was also a place where all the services and resources can all be found within one building. And fingers crossed that Huddle decides to choose the PAW. And huddlemanitoba.ca is where people can go and look to that. And I think that's it for meetings. Anybody else have anything else? All right, so citizens period is empty.
We missed unfinished business.
Unfinished business. We will move back to that. Yeah, we did. I skipped it.
Can I make one request? It's sort of in the unfinished business, but it's not really. Could we get a sort of a presentation / update from the fire chief and or whoever's leading our EMO for what the plan is coming into wildfire season, what we're doing different this year, what things are needed, just so we have an idea and the community has an idea what sort of precautions have been put in place. I think that my thoughts are if we need an actual special meeting, I think we could even do that. If maybe some community members might even want to attend. But I know Byron or the fire chief and others did that other meeting. But I think for council, it'd be nice to hear that our EMO is ready to go. It's refreshed. Everybody knows their roles. What we're going to do, where's our risk areas before it gets to the season, and you know, because it started I think in May last year. So I don't know if anybody else, I don't know if we need a resolution for that, but or anybody else has any concerns with that request.
Yeah, I don't think council will be happy to hear. We've definitely met a few times already to go through some of these discussions and tabletops. We have another tabletop exercise coming up as well. Identifying roles, refreshing kind of who's in charge of what are some of the lessons we learned last year, what are some blind spots we may have. So there's some really good work being done on that end, yeah.
That would be good. So
we'll
could we get that before our next meeting, or you want to pick a date? And well, I'll leave that with you. If it's done at our meeting, that's fine too. It's just that hopefully our agenda is not too big, and we don't.
Let me have that discussion first with the manager in charge, then we'll get back to council on it.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah, got some. So as the mayor alluded, we're getting closer to the end of winter finally. Some of these items on here with no updates have had no updates for quite some time, and some of them I would assume should have a plan in place with the winter going away. The skip the all debris, for an example, the graffiti, that's something obviously I brought up many times. But there's several of these items on here that there's been no update on for months and months and months, and the date just changes, so I can't even tell you how far back the no update actually is. I have to go back through all these unfinished business to figure out the last time we actually got an update on some of them. So maybe it would be worthwhile to have it on the next agenda to actually have a thorough update on every single one of these, since they just seem to get on this list and then forgotten, unless somebody on council brings it up. And there, I thought at one point we had a target date setting to all these that we were going to have an update by a certain date or whatever, and now that's like the estimated completion date is completely blank. So it just feels like it sits here until somebody brings it up.
It's, well, I have another opinion on that. I don't see it as it's been forgotten. Some of them has to do with time, and some of them some of the manager did not, they will give an update on some of them, not as if they are not forgotten. For example, the council office space, we actually did something on it. And it's been, we didn't include this because it was outside this. And especially the main tickets, we have been working on this, but until we get to certain stage before we could update council, Rapidly, for instance, there's already a plan on how to handle that with the mic. Recycling, Sam has been going back and forth to that, but I do accept the fact that we are not giving those information to council, so we'll work on that, but there are updates.
So if I can ask, what's the update on the council office space then?
Yes, the update on the council office space is that management is considering the office inside the after the office down there, and want to open an entrance that place so that when council wants to use an office space, they'll be able to use that.
I thought we had already designated the office space up there for them.
Yes, we mentioned, council mentioned something like that, and we were talking about moving some of the staff around, and that didn't really like go well with the manager, so we have to work around this and make everybody comfortable.
Yeah, that's all right. I appreciate that. I still stand by my request to have this for the next agenda where they actually get an update on all the
Okay, should we remove the completed section?
stuff that's got an update on here. I don't think we need an update. It's just the no update section. Most of that, there hasn't really been much update on dating back, I'm gonna say till at least fall.
Like I was like, okay, I'll talk with our managers, but I want the council to know that some of them are really working hard on the capital projects. And we do have many capital projects.
I don't dispute that staff's working hard. I don't wanna suggest that they're not. They definitely are, but at the same time, that list is there for a reason, so things don't fall off, and I do have concerns that some things are falling off.
Yeah.
I just wanted to add as well, thank you, Councillor Allen, for bringing it up. Same thing for me. Maybe we need to bring the managers in. Lately, the managers have been coming in and talking about, you know, the Grow Fund and the exciting things we have, but we're putting the issues that we've been looking at for some of them as 3 years need to be addressed and reported on. So maybe we could schedule a manager or two for the next couple of meetings just to give us an update. As we said, we're not in any way criticizing their work, but part of their work is reporting to council and letting us know the updates on this list. So that'd be helpful.
I think some of it maybe
Thanks.
just isn't flowing through from meeting to meeting. For example, the one there with regards to the TIFs that says no update, the update, which I would assume was given to council a few meetings ago, was that currently the program is on hold while they revamp it and they're not taking any more intakes. So that update should almost just stay there until we know more about the program and it gets revamped and they start taking intakes again, instead of a no update, so that council remembers that that program is currently on hold with the government.
And maybe that did come forward, Laura. I'm not sure. I don't recall hearing that, but maybe you guys will have to come back and review.
Quite a few of these that do read no update, there have been updates, but I feel like maybe it says no update from the last time we received one. And there's not like great big gaps in here, like the quality improvement committees, it says no update, but those are ongoing. TIF, that's ongoing. Library maintenance, that's been reported to. The columbarium, that's been approved. Devon Park, we know what's been going on with Devon Park. Bola gave an update on the Airbnb assessment. And that's just like the first, 6 or 7 lines, I don't know in here. But
if I have this,
I would recommend that we council look at this. We need to put some priorities on this. There's too much work on here now. And I think as Councillor Manich has mentioned, and others, you know, there is some updates already been done. So when there's an update there, I think what we're missing though on this sheet is when it has the date and it's all April 13th, it really should be the date that this was raised. And so that it never changes, that date should never change so that we know what's the oldest date and what's the newest, and stuff that becomes super old, we just forget about it because it's not important anymore. And then stuff that newer may be a higher priority. And then the estimate date, all we're looking for is put a date in when we think it's going to be done. If you put a date in there, then we don't talk about it. So we only talk about the stuff that we see becoming delayed. And I think right now what we're looking at is we're looking at something that has got all number one priorities from top to bottom. And that's, I'm sure council is not looking for. So maybe Bola, when I'm back, I can come in and just sort of help sort of structure this sheet if you like, just to show that it should be when the date the item landed on this sheet. And the next date is the date we expect it to be done. So as Laura mentioned, to the TIF, even though it was she'd been actively working on it, we've got a date now that said it's no longer, it's on hold. Then you just put the date to the next update would be September 2026, because that's when you might hear something. So then you don't talk about that one and it just drops off the list. So like a true action log. So I don't know if that makes sense, but.
Just,
Makes sense.
just a couple of questions. I think the mayor hit on, there's prioritize the list. All staff have, many things on their plate, and if they look at this, they probably, well, I'm gonna take a dart and I'm gonna throw it at it and see which one we're gonna work on. So I think prioritize it, and then that'll take some of the stress off staff from trying to answer all our questions all the time. I'm not sure if this is in the list or not. It probably is. Just a question to Sam. Do we have fluoride in the water yet?
We do not know. We've done a little bit of research, but we're trying to snip together a little video for council to watch a bunch of different research that we've been watching. Some nice things. We've watched a good doc on CBC about it, and giving some different perspectives. So we're trying to snip it all together to give you guys a bit of an update on that. It's definitely a complicated issue, and it's kind of a hot button issue. So I kind of want to make sure you guys have.
You're gonna give us the science.
Well, yeah, I'm not sure I'm the right guy to do that, but I will definitely try to, because what some of the research is saying.
Okay. Council Alan mentioned about the Skippy Hill. The Lido committee, working committee that's working on what's going in there, the big picture.
Yeah.
When did they meet?
It's been on hold since we ran into our insurance snags. We haven't met since before Trappers. I had a request for another meeting to be called to update the group kind of where we're at. So that's a good idea since we haven't met so long. In my brain, I guess for me, it was like, we've hit this insurance thing, so we're sort of kind of waiting to get that. So there hasn't been a meeting since before Trappers. And we have to put together sort of the results of the open house, sort of go over some of the key findings back and forth. So we'll probably call for a meeting. I was hoping to do it this week, but probably next week. We'll probably try to call for a meeting with the committee. I will invite all the council to. If they'd like.
Yeah, let us know what it is. I don't want to throw cold water on the committee or anything, but I've heard some things, the arts issue and all of that. Maybe the schools will bring their equipment there and do band things, and the schools will not bring all of their band equipment over there. And they've got a facility at the rink or at the school that they do that. There is obviously a place in there for culture, but back to shortly after when we start talking about what we were going to do that as a town, I'd like to see it be self-sufficient, generating money to pay the taxes on the building and put something in there for the youth. Anytime, you know as well, when you go over the basketball team or any other sports team, they're looking for, what do they do? Well, they go to the arcade, or they go to the bowling alley. They go to, there's things that aren't in town that they all tend to go to, whether it's in Winnipeg, mostly in Winnipeg. So I like this, ideally, we build it, put what has to be in there, find the appropriate people to run it, and here's the keys, and start paying your taxes. It's a facility I don't think the town should be looking after at the end of the day, but it's something that it has a legacy there with the lighting and all that. I think it'll be a center point of the downtown and the clinic across the street. But I'd still like to see it self-sufficient and all aspects of the community involved in what's going to be in there. And I think with the addition of the other property next door, now we've got some extra room there. We can, you know, the sky is the limit on doing that. So if we get some other, the mayor has mentioned several times that there is individuals, companies in town that will invest in that. So, you know, that's what we're gonna be looking for. So I wouldn't mind going to the meeting, just be kept
Your
up to speed.
message, Councillor Hopper, is the exact same message that group has.
Yeah.
Exactly bang on that, you know, it has to be self-sufficient. We would like to have somebody run it. And, you know, the municipality may own the asset, but there needs to be enough money put away for a reserve so that it can be maintained long-term without any cost to the taxpayers. So you're absolutely bang on there. I think the thing where we're at right now is that we need to really get moving with the insurance company so that we can have the real conversations to see what that really is going to be. And that's I think the problem. I think there's a lot of, also think that, you know, this is an opportunity for us to also look at our area regionally and how we can kind of create this regional center. So I think I think we're all aligned there. It's just how we get there.
Okay, good. And just two other short ones, just for Bola, have we got anything back from the Trappist Festival yet? We sent a few letters previously about our involvement in the festival, what the town puts forward. Just a suggestion, would you follow it up, if you're gonna follow it up with another letter, be directed to the board chair and the executive and the board members? Because I'm hearing that sometimes the information doesn't get funneled down to everybody, what a particular request may involve. And then the other item was back to the CSO report previously. When you come to town, the first thing you're struck with is the streets, and we're dealing with that through problems and everything, especially Gordon Avenue, south end of town, property on the east side. Got at least 5 cars in the yard. The building was for sale. It's a definite eyesore, and we've talked about it before. And we've asked the CSO do your due diligence, and if it's not working, get them out of there and get the area cleaned up. And that's all I'm ranting about tonight.
Are you sure?
No,
It's early still.
don't look into that.
Are we done?
I have a couple things.
Yeah.
As far as this unfinished business thing, I believe when we do have a meeting like this and questions are brought up, that is being answered, that is sort of an update. So I understand having when the date when it was first addressed or brought up to this unfinished business list, but maybe we should have a date when it was last updated to, so that we realize that, yes, we did talk about it a month ago or 3 weeks ago. And even though it doesn't say no updates, there's just been no recent updates. So we know how long it's been since it was updated to us. And we go back in our notes and we're not saying that you didn't give us any updates, and you're getting credit due for it. The other one, Sam, is with the fluoride thing in the water. I'm not a big fan of it because I've done a lot of research on it myself too. So if you're doing the research on it, can you please do the research on the pros and cons?
Of course, yeah.
On it, because there is quite a few not so good things about it as well. So I'd like everybody to be aware of that too.
Of course.
So we're not
yeah.
getting, oh, yeah, let's put it back in the water.
We'll bring you a balance of both, you know, some of that was the difficult part, was finding the literature and the information in a sort of manageable way that you guys can digest. That's giving.
Yeah,
both
it took me a
sides.
lot of hours to look at all of it, to come up with both sides, but other than that, I think I'm done.
Think so? there's more time. If anybody else has anything to say. Done? We're sure? Okay, that's it. You're all cut off. Okay. Citizens period. We don't have any. So let's move into committee of the whole. Please.
Resolved that we do now move ourselves into the committee of the whole with Deputy Mayor Atkinson in the chair to discuss matters requiring our attention.
All right. Grow track update 14.1.1. So got a team of 5 different people in view tonight, and we're asking every single question because we've missed you all so much. So
Been
Go ahead. Go ahead.
So I won't read through the entire issue sheet. We just wanted to give council sort of an update, where we're at. So we wanted to make sure that, you know, council's wishes were, considered, when we were looking at the track itself. The realization that the chances of us being able to host provincials, being very, very low is, important for us to understand as we move forward with the project. Therefore, the option of asphalting the track first and then rubberizing it would not necessarily be a necessity for the project in order to do the things that we want to do, since provincials is not really on the table for us. And just like these are just rough numbers, but so the track, putting rubber on the gravel track would be about 650,000 approximately. If we were to go to asphalt, then rubberization, that number would balloon to probably over 1.5 million. That's a little bit unknown, because there'd be an extensive geotechnical requirement before they would be asphalt the track. So the 2 options therefore we have as this project moves forward, we believe, is to either go with the original plan of rubberizing it over the gravel, or going straight to an asphalt track over the gravel. In terms of use and longevity and what's better for the athletes, it stacks up that the rubber over the gravel is the more appropriate way forward. However, all of the options we're considering, the recommendation from suppliers and installers is that no wheels are allowed on the surface at all. This project is a community project. This project is, you know, part of our barrier-free recreation. And when we sort of came to the realization, we thought it was important to let you guys know that, because, you know, right now the track is used for walking, for running, bikes, whatever. So moving to either rubber or an asphalt track, the recommendation from the suppliers is to keep bikes, scooters, obviously the motorized equipment, but the stroller was a bit of a surprise as well. That might just be a messaging thing, just to keep it simplified, no wheels on the track, because we can't really see that being a significant issue to have a stroller on there, but we just wanted you guys to be aware that that was a concern potentially for the public. And just to kind of get a feeling for where council thought that we should go with this as we kind of look.
No, I spoke to you earlier, I thought the rubberized on the asphalt, which you're saying makes a lot of sense. You're also waiting for feedback on the board and have one, you want to see how it winterized, how it made through the winter. Something I was just thinking of is, people are probably going to want to put their stroller and walk around on the nice track. Maybe on the outside of the track, a few feet away, 8-foot asphalt all the way around. No,
An additional little, like
something like that.
additional
That way they've got their area for doing their stroller for walking.
That's an interesting option for
They
the
could even,
middle ground.
while it's being used, it's far enough back that people could be using it for whatever.
You can have the kids running around outside with bicycles and.
Yeah, rather than the track. Anyway,
So,
It's gonna be hard to police.
so if you have,
just like
with the asphalt, would it still need the fencing?
Yeah.
You'd
I
still
think
need
keeping-
fencing as
yeah,
well,
If we're going with the dual wheels, I think the fencing is the right, even just to keep the motorized vehicles off there, right? You'll have dirt bikes and quads serving through there. Sleds in the winter.
Brandon just had, I spoke to somebody at the fireman's ball, and Brandon had just had something that was put in and they found that they had to have that fence.
They resurfaced
that
it in
was it.
2017. The original was 1997.
So waiting for any
Oh.
reports back. We're
Okay.
still on track for this year?
Yeah, we're closing in a
Can I
couple
ask
weeks.
a question about the track though?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just waiting. I have a hard time to believe that you can't have a bike on the asphalt track.
Yeah,
That was
That-
surprising.
From what I just did a quick search. I think, what they talk about the track is not so much the wheels on it, is that if the bike falls over and pokes a hole in it. But to say that you can't have a pedal bike or a stroller on an asphalt track, that's sort of a head scratcher for me.
Yeah, I was a little bit surprised as well. There's mixed messages online about the wheels part on the asphalt. But the downsides of the asphalt track in terms of the athletes, in terms of the traction, like you wouldn't be able to use spikes on it at all. So that'd be sort of a aggressive approach for our track and field team.
Yeah. I mean, I just look at the fact that this has been talked about for 700 years, almost longer than the clinic. And
Almost as long as our unfinished business list.
yeah. And I would just hate for us all of a sudden to run into a small barrier or some sort of issue and then go in a completely different direction. So, like other communities have these things. I would just hope that we can try to figure a way of improving what we have so that our high school teams can have a good place to practice that's not in gravel and pavement, and we can figure
And
out.
our skate, and our skate park is like a half a block away.
And
We'll just bike over to the skate park.
the other issue that brings up, if we're gonna rubberize the pickleball and on all that other stuff over there, are we gonna have the same problem?
Yeah, so that one we did, it's called like cattle fencing, to not allow bikes to get in there. We will be able to stop the scooters getting in there. We'll purchase some signage for it, but that is the
Okay.
same plan for that, yes.
I had one question, Salmon. Would the geotechnical study not be the same whether we were going to pour $700,000 worth of rubber over a asphalt or over a gravel surface or put asphalt? The geotechnical study is required anyway. So all we're really enhancing would be putting the asphalt.
Yeah, that's a good point. We spoke to one of the vendors. That was one of the first questions I asked, wouldn't it be the same requirement? And he seemed to think that, I believe it's because the asphalt is more prone to cracking, that's when the geotech would be more important for that, to see what they're working with. And they believe in terms of the right financial move might be if we wanted to do an asphalt track, that we should do that as a separate tender from this altogether, because we could just work with Maple Leaf or Nelson River or one of the paving companies and just sort of handle that on our own and save a few other hands touching it, you know what I mean, and getting marked up. So they felt that a lot less geotechnical work on site with the contractor would be able to handle for the rubberization, because the stabilization material they put down ahead of time. So it'd be sort of just recompacting what's there, stabilizing it, and then off the rubberizing surface.
Yeah, my concern is that entire area, is a drainage nightmare. And, I don't know how much, I ran on a rubberized surface for years, but I don't know what its elongation is. Is it 200%? Is it 500%? I'm worried that if there is a lot of movement, we get frost heaves. You deal with them every day. So my concern is that without a geotechnical study, whether it's asphalt or rubber, we're setting ourselves up for failure if they're telling you, we don't have to do the same thing. I'm worried that a warranty issue would come into play just because of that surface. Look, when we used to do the skating oval around it, right? We ended it because a consensus came to was it's damaging the track too much. And that was because of the moisture that was being left and held. So they then spray rubber over it. I'm worried that the project is going to expand into, we got to address that as well. And now we're doing a topographical study along with a geotechnical study, and we're going to be hitting $2 million mark anyway.
Yeah, Sam, there's lots of playground guys. There's lots of playground guys going to be at AMM's conference next week.
Yeah.
And there's lots of rubberized guys I'm at SUMA right now, so I think that's maybe some good face-to-face conversations as well.
Either way, let's get it
Yeah.
rubberized and let's do what's best for our community.
Yeah, exactly.
Whatever that looks like.
No, we agree that the rubberization is definitely a good step. The consensus of the team was more the community education on what the track will be and what it will look like and the sort of parameters of the use. I think it's important to get out to the public now so that they don't kind of hear about it when it's finished.
And I'm glad we're going with the rubberized track. Back to what Councillor Manch is saying, foundation's important. If you don't think it's important, we'll look at Geimer. And
Yeah,
those streets, so if we have to spend, I mean, that has to be done. We have to know what's under, it's gotta be done properly, otherwise we could be throwing money away.
Yeah, so the contractor said that for the rubberization, he can, when he's on site, he can do the test holes when he's here and sort of make that assessment. It's gonna be not as invasive as it dash. Because the asphalt is so prone to cracking, so he said he can deal with that on site. The one contractor said that. Now, I think, as the mayor mentioned, some more waste time, some of these companies maybe answering more questions if that was the general.
Yeah, and I think we don't want to lose track.
Not gonna lose track.
No, sorry,
Rubberized.
sorry. I thought somebody was talking, guys. I didn't mean to interrupt. I do apologize. I'm not trying to interrupt anybody. I don't see everybody in the room, so. Other than if it was Councillor Allen, then I was interrupting, but if the, just as a note, like, we're talking about other people using the track for bikes and that, you know, when you look at our walking path that's around town, I think that's something that we should look at some tender love and care and that maybe can be fixed up this year to help improve that
In the
because.
mayor read our notes from behind here, because that's the perfect sort of segue into like making that the next, like our next recreation priorities, like, okay, we can point them in another direction, say that we have beautiful outdoor facilities for walking, biking, so we have to be able to back up that statement by. Sorry, Councillor
All
Allen.
right, Councillor Allen.
I just had a question for clarification. It's just so I'm understanding. So we're talking about the wheels damaging asphalt and all that. Is the asphalt for this significantly different from the asphalt that we're used to? Is that why? Is it this?
I do believe the mix design will be different than what we use for mix design on the roads. I would suspect this one would have more fines in it, so you have that smoother top.
So it's easier to like indent, is that?
Yeah, and then like I think the comments are like during one of our conversation where the supplier, like, you get a kid on there with a BMX bike doing tricks, and then all of a sudden it's peg, it's the asphalt, now it's sort of chipped it away. Now you have a surface that's gonna kind of more away, so, yeah, that was one of the designs for the parameters that are careful. Larry volunteering to do the repair and have it track it to the side of it.
Just thinking we can make something so that the majority of people all get to use it. Instead of just singling out, well, if you're a runner, you're on there, if you're walking, you're jumping. You're on there, but everybody else has to stay on.
And going to a blacktop, it's like, it'd be like an oven on there in the summers. So some of the older members of our community that use that area to kind of walk. It might be challenging for them when it's in the hot baking sun because it is like, I ran on a couple, it looks like I ran on a while, but I've been on a couple of asphalt tracks before, it's.
Good report.
Thanks.
All right, any other questions, comments?
So I guess can you just clarify what your recommendation is, Sam?
The recommendation from the team is going towards the rubberization, stabilizing what's existing and then rubberizing it. As original proposal from one of the vendors was, and then doing some community outreach so that the community is aware once the tender closes of the process we're taking to get some community feedback as well, so let them know about the limitations of.
No, that's good. Great summary. Thank you.
Then we don't have to name it.
It's already named with
Well, like there's a rubber.
it's half inch for the base and then quarter inch for the topper. So there's a wear surface that you put on top, they can be sprayed on. And then you could buy extra chemical, get staff trained to do the repairs and so. So,
I'm trying.
sorry, I keep talking.
Okay, winch and pool cover.
Okay,
Who's it?
I won't go through, sorry, I didn't go through.
No, I'm like, who's it? Jomar, Kelsey, you?
Sorry.
Can hear.
That's right. I can keep going if you guys want. So last time we sat down, we were talking about the cover. There was some information that we need from the supplier that the width of the cover housing would be maybe a little problematic, but nothing they couldn't make work in the space we have available. I sort of provide some of the dimensions legally that we're required to maintain. When they came back with engineering design, the unit width was 48 inches, which was a lot more than they believed it would be, and a lot more than we're comfortable dealing with. And then I kind of give some of the reasons why that's kind of a bad idea. Most important being lifeguards not going to control of that little of a room on the shallow end. So if there's an emergency on the one side by the slide, getting around would be awesome.
I'm just going to make a suggestion. Everybody received your report. We read it, it was very detailed, explained all the questions and answers. Not to, unless you wanted to go over it all again like you're doing. I feel you don't have to. I think us as council, we should have read it.
Yeah.
And if we have questions, we ask you questions for clarification. Otherwise, we're wasting your time.
Well, that's fair, yeah.
Just my comment.
I'm open for questions.
I'm sad to see that we and you're one of that covered. I thought it was gonna work, but.
I never thought of it. I knew it was
We'll
never
never know
gonna
if
fit.
it worked or not.
I'm glad that,
But it's nice to know this up front, and we still have, money available to do the other upgrades you talked about, so I don't have any questions.
so.
So we're back to the drawing board. We're back to the drawing board to find another another alternative.
We're gonna park the alternative for the immediate future right now and just work on fixing the dehumidifier, doing some other repairs. Tamir is more than happy to go back to the drawing board and come up with other possibilities for us.
Okay, because if we're parking it, just to be clear, your recommendations do read, the engineering department will continue working with the recreation department to find alternative technologies or solutions.
Correct.
So if we're parking it
Well, we're canceling this project.
entire,
Yeah, we need to let them know that we're not moving it.
okay.
Yeah.
Clear.
Thank you. Sorry for that.
Anything else? Nobody else has any more questions? Okay, debenture, 14.3.1 issue sheet.
Laura is here to talk about this, and that's why she's joining us.
I wanted to bring this to council before I drafted the bylaw, and there turned out to be questions. Essentially, this is setting up for the debenture for the recreation hub upgrades that were discussed earlier, so some of them were discussed earlier. And we're gonna need the additional financing, so therefore we're gonna have to do it through a debenture. Now, the capital project was previously estimated at the 2.7 million. And due to the current economic climate, it's now being estimated at approximately 3.2. So that leaves 1.8 that has to be funded by the town. So I prepared 3 sets of calculations for council to review on what that would look like for a 10-year, 15-year, and 20-year debenture. I also reviewed any upcoming projects that are going to require debentures. So in 2027, we have the paving that will be approximately 2.7 million. And in 2029, the replacement of the Vector truck, that's approximately 1.4 million. Calculating the paving out, just the paving alone, and doing it over a 20-year amortization period using current debenture rates, we would be at a payment of $220,800. If we were to combine that with the 20-year payment for the rec hub upgrades, we would be slightly higher than the 2 debentures that we just canceled. So my concern is in increasing the mill rate in order to fund these projects if we go any lower than the 20 years. I'm not sure if council has any questions with regards to that.
You mentioned the Vector there, something like that, we could do just a special service levy for that rather than debenture out as well.
We could, but either way, that increases the taxes for the community.
Yeah,
So in trying to keep that at the levels of the debentures that we just canceled, that was, I guess, what I was looking at, because I know that council wants to keep taxes as low as they possibly can, as does the administration. So the recommendation was to go with the 20-year.
Hey, Laura.
Yep.
So just a couple of comments. So we do have another debenture coming closed within the next couple of years as well, right?
2027, I believe. And essentially that would end up canceling out to be replaced by the Vector truck.
Yeah, so there would be no change there. My only comment, and I know it's you know, when we look at the payment between 163,000 a year to 152 or 252, we're talking about half a mil estimate, or estimated around a half a mil rate. And when we look at the period of time, just doing the quick and dirty math, it's about a $700,000 difference in repayment. So I think, you know, I just want council to think about that. You know, I agree with what Laura is saying, but I also think that, you know, there's ways of finding, you know, can we do other things to sort of lower that impact and not have it hanging around for such a long time, paying an extra 700 grand. That's my only comment. Is I personally would like to see it at the 10-year mark and not 20 years. So we're not tying it up as much. We have another debenture closing in 2027 that would help. And then it really makes us as a community work harder to see what, you know, to keep that cost down. So it's
that, yeah, that definitely is a negative impact in spreading it out over a longer term.
Yeah.
The other thing that we've often talked about, especially during budget season, is our declining reserves and the fact that we need to consider additional contributions to those reserves. So that was another thing that I was taking into account in trying to lower these payments. Now, I also did this with the 1.8 million, which is what we're saying we need, and also a 2 million and a 2.25 million. And the reason I presented this to council is because if we consider going, say, for the 2.25 million, so we ensure that no matter what happens with this project, it costs increase or something happens where we need to have additional funds, we have that money there and approved by the province for this debenture. If we go with the $1.8 million and costs end up exceeding that, we are going to have to go back to doing a public hearing and back to the province for approval to get the debenture increase. So it's much easier to increase the funds at the beginning and then cancel any remaining we don't need after the fact.
Yeah, no, that makes absolute sense.
yeah, and I would echo there, the 10 years be the way to go. And we can't forget that when we were a few months back, we were talking about the current ventures that are going due, that what we were going to do with that. And at the time it said, well, that's all going into reserves. So you touched on that as well.
Yep.
Was the wellness center a 20-year debenture or
Yeah.
longer?
I
20,
believe it
right?
was 20. Yeah.
So I don't know, maybe if what you could do, Laura, and just putting this out so it gets council discussion. Maybe we should just write the bylaw for the 10 years. Maybe we should do the 2.25. And then that way, like you said, we're not sort of saying it's a blank check to do whatever you want, but we don't have to go back twice. It's done. And then we're not on the hook for a long time, based on the payments. You know, if we're going to improve our community, we're going to need to invest some of our communities. We need to make some investments. So, and you know, the things that we're talking about here, these were debentures that were taken 20 years ago. That's been really no upgrades in these facilities for 20 years.
Okay,
We're looking for it to come back at 10 years, Sam?
Yeah, that's what I would say.
Everybody's okay?
Prefer 10 years as well.
Would take a while on the salt ones.
And, you know, I know Jomar and Kelsey and Sam and everybody are still chasing grants and stuff like that. You know, we need to keep doing that. Like, it's just that we want to make sure we're not getting held up by something that we've got 50 cent dollars right now.
These were setting up a line of credit, so it's.
Yeah, once we select the company, that we're gonna work with, some of them offer that service of the grant funding ready for us, so. We'll get them started on that as soon as we can.
Sounds good.
So just to be clear, one more time, 2.25 borrowing over a 10-year term? Okay. Capital project summary.
Just before we go, sorry, good job on that issue sheet, Laura. That really outlined it well. Thanks for that.
yeah,
Agreed.
no problem. Thanks.
Yes.
So this is a summary for the capital projects for 2026. It's going to be like a kind of the monthly or two months report that will be coming to council. Just for council to know where we are and ask us questions and just to give council updates in general, so that we'll be able to meet up with all the promise we made regarding the capital projects.
An entire green sheet by what day, Sam?
Working on it, hopefully by end of the month.
You know, when I look at these heat maps, I look at the red and it's hot, so I need to see some greens. Our community needs to see some greens.
Yeah, we're talking about our increases or the sheets, or?
Those are all yellow.
On whole day, bonds.
So no questions?
No.
Thanks, Bola.
Do you guys like the layout of this?
I do. Yeah. MS WAP.
Yes, this is a request from them.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay.
I'll be back.
Go ahead, Bola.
So if you look at the issue sheets, they made a request and I checked with the fire chief as well as the public works. So the request has been approved. This is for council's information.
No problem. Okay. And then we have, the Pausian Chamber of Commerce, they're requesting a letter of support.
Yes, they requested for letter of support from town, and I've made the reports so that they'll be able to get the grants they are looking for. And let's see if the council.
I think this was going to DMC for their meeting this week, so.
Yes. Yes.
It came as a matter like urgency because I think there's a time frame for the application.
That's why I was curious to know when it was closed off, when the grant period was closed off. Because the next letter as well, which we'll move on to, is the Blizzard reunion request letter, possibly if the grants are still open. This is something that could go on to DMC as well.
Yeah, I believe, like we've talked about requests like this before, and the general idea was that it should go to DMC first before it comes to us. So I would hope.
My understanding is, Councillor Allen, is that the DMC grant application asks for letters of support. So that's why they're asking us as well. That's why the
Okay.
chamber, well,
Sorry, if they were asking for letter of support, then maybe I misread that. I just took that as they're asking for actual funding. I didn't see that they were requesting just a letter of support.
yeah,
If
no,
it
I
is
think
just a letter
that's,
of support, then I'm in favor of that.
yeah, I think they're, right now, their first step is just to give them a letter of support to say, hey, we think it's a good program, whatever it happens to be, and then, And then if they come to the, because if they did come to the town, we're gonna send them to the DMC anyways.
Yeah,
But I think that's why the chamber, maybe Councillor Manage, but I think that's why the chamber asked us for a letter of support as well, is because they need it for the grant application for the DMC.
Yeah, I think there was some, maybe some misunderstanding as well, thinking it's a town of the paw facility. Therefore, let's ask the town if they would possibly give it at a reduced rate or even use of the fee rather than just asking for a handout. It was more of grant in lieu. That's why it came directly to the town rather than through the DMC.
yeah, again, sorry, just to come back to this letter here, it does say, we are seeking support to help offset associated costs, including venue rental, event programming, meals, and community activities. We respectfully request consideration of a monetary contribution from the town. So that's why I was taking that as a request, not for a letter of support, but for actual financial support.
But we denied that request already. I think that request from the chamber came to us, I feel like.
That was the Blizzard letter.
Listen,
That was the Blizzard letter I was reading. That's what we're on
Why are
right
we flip-flopping?
She,
I agree.
so she talked to me.
Like, we're bouncing all over the place. Okay, so are we completed with the chamber now then?
now. Yeah, you moved on.
Okay, so now we're on back to the Blizzard, okay. We were just talking about chamber, I thought.
I agree with Councillor Allen. I believe they're asking for the town to support, just like we support the Trappers Festival or other things. I believe that's what the Blizzard reunion request is.
I think she
Now it's up to us
misunderstood.
to decide if we're directing it to the DMC or not.
Yeah, I think because she asked me about this and I asked her to send us a letter. But our response is that we would respond back to her, say, the town of the Paw completely supports this initiative to do the reunion. Your first step would be to contact the DMC to, as we support this initiative, and then they can use it for their grant application there. If the town wants to provide additional, some sort of funding, we could do that as well. Because
Yeah,
we do
wanna-
that.
Yeah, I'd like to see what, because they haven't really requested a dollar amount. See what the CDC does and then go from there.
Yeah.
Maybe
So
there's some
my-
in-kind we can do.
Yeah, so my suggestion would be, Bola, is that we respond with a letter saying, we appreciate the Blizzard, whatever it happens to be. We look forward for their event to be in the community. We fully support this on the economics and contact the DMC for support. If you need additional support, let us know.
we have the time frame for our grant application between September and December. We always have the application out. And that will help us in this year's budget. So everything will incorporated. So if they need this type of assistance, they can apply to council between September and December. So council will determine that.
And that's it? That's it for our regular meeting. Thank you, everyone, for spending time with us. I'm not sure if anybody has been online spending time with us, but that is all.